Well, hello there. In spirit of Halloween that's likely already passed by the time this video drops, I finally decided to catch up with one of the more requested characters in comment sections, Venom. And kids nowadays probably wonder, how exactly is Venom that scary? You mean that goofball from PG-13 rated movies who likes to attend parties and has a buddy best friend Tom Hardy? Who they always constantly have domestic arguments with? Well, back in the day, let me tell you, Venom was a bit of a scare. The episode with him and Spider-Man 94 alone used to put shivers down my spine, and he was always meant to be a monster who is a perfect counter to defeat Spider-Man.
Everything about you. You see us everywhere, even in your nightmares.
And you know what? Video games also reflected that pretty regularly. So today we're looking at every single playable appearance of Venom from start to finish. If you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing and liking, and let's just start. Venom's first popularity skyrocketed after the aforementioned Spider-Man 94 cartoon, and in the same year we get our first game called Spider-Man Venom Maximum Carnage for SNES and Genesis. Now this is a 2D beat 'em up with a mostly average quality of games at the time. I personally still consider Punisher beat 'em up to be an unreachable peak, and the game revolves around both heroes trying to take down Carnage. Now after playing this for a while, I won't lie, the game is pretty damn hard. Like harder than normal beat 'em up games I play through these videos. You start the game as Spider-Man and have to jump through quite a few hoops before we get to see Venom, including like 5 levels and multiple bosses. These few ordinary fatsos alone made me fail multiple times and almost got me to rage quit. I won't lie. Like legit, I had to look up some video playthroughs to understand how to get through them. But once I pushed enough, and after about an hour of Spider-Man levels, we finally get to Carnage, and that's when Spider-Man gets in trouble. And that's exactly when we get an option to play as Venom, finally. And things are pretty straightforward here. We can do a punching combo, jump kick, rush shoulder move, as well as tie and pick up enemies, which helps a lot with dodgy types. You are able to fly technically, but not much above ground level, and overall, it's pretty bare bones. Nothing special for a beat 'em up game, and I've had some pain getting to the actual Venom levels, alright? Now the game got some success, and next year we already got a sequel called Spider-Man and Venom Separation Anxiety, and things are basically almost the same here. The main difference is that 2 people can play the game now, and basically co-op as Venom and Spidey. The combat is pretty much the same, all the moves are the same, and there's nothing much to add here, honestly. I mean, the duo is still fighting Carnage, like they're just kind of tried to redo the previous game. One thing I guess I noticed is a lot more cooler cameos from superheroes, like we have Daredevil and Ghost Rider popping in to help. They were not in the first game, or at least I didn't find them. But that's about it, nothing too special to point out. Now to wrap up the 90s, by the end of it, Venom has earned enough popularity to secure space on a roster of Marvel vs. Capcom, both 1 and 2. Eddie's a solid champ who felt fun to play with. From what I understand, he's good at cornering and zoning, as well as having an air dash, which is notable. I do like the animation of Symbiote leaving his body from time to time, and I appreciate the details. Nothing really much to add because I don't play fighting games, but he's here, and he's pretty fun, pretty cool, you know. And I would even play for a little bit more if there was a story mode. Now with this, we're pretty much done with the 90s, and we move towards the first really notable year for the character. This is when Eddie Brock has truly become mainstream because we've got the myth, the legend, the hero release, Ultimate Spider-Man the video game. And holy, playing this game right now, it feels trippy because of how damn well it still holds up. I booted up the game just for the Venom sections, but I stayed for the experience, I won't lie. Straight off the bat, the game starts in this dark gritty tone as Venom goes for Peter, deep in the night, with raindrops around them, in this inescapable feel of dread, as Peter is getting chased by the monster, and before you know it, we already have our first boss battle. Of course Peter escapes and we get our first feel of the open world right after, and the attention to details is so damn good. The web swinging feels fast, responsive. The game's comic book style still feels fresh and like it nearly hasn't aged in 20 years. We immediately get a cameo from Fantastic Four, and Johnny Storm is asking us for a race. Look, I won't lie, I just played through every single Spider-Man Tobey Maguire video game, like last week, and this game is just miles better than any of them. I'm surprised, I forgot how good this is. The combat as well is snappy, quick, there's a dodge mechanic and a zip-up mechanic, which is just a cherry on top. And my god, I know I can't praise this game enough, but I do have to stop at some point and move on a little. This is a Venom video after all. Once the day passes and we move on to the nighttime, it becomes his time. Venom feels completely different to Spider-Man, as he is of course a lot less agile and can't web swing, but he feels strong. He downs normal thugs 3 times faster than Spider-Man. When he hits you, you feel it, and when he lands on the ground, it breaks beneath him. The game also does its best to put you into this villain persona, as your first meal as Venom is what you're seeing on the screen right now, and that's kind of crazy. I was that age when I was playing this game for the first time, goddammit. And even more, right after some more gameplay, we get our first boss battle as Venom, and it's a freaking Wolverine. And once again, the attention to detail is amazing. Even though you are strong as heck, Wolverine is faster. He will throw you around and make you need to heal. And when you do go for a meal nearby to replenish health, he says psych and starts healing as well because he's Wolverine and he has healing factor. And all of this is just the first hour of the game. Like, I can't understate it enough. This experience is absolutely packed and was a heaven for a comic book fan at the time. I've not touched it in over a decade, and after playing it again just now, I have to say, if you've never played this game, especially because of its age, you must. It's an absolute masterpiece. I'm thinking it might be better in many areas than the Insomniac Spider-Man even. I'd have to do a deeper dive though, maybe someday in the future. Moving on, in the same year, Venom gets himself into another game already, called Marvel Rise of the Imperfects, where he can battle it out in a 3D fighting style. He is quite tanky, very handy with his webs that he can use to trip his enemies and throw them around, and has a fun ground combo he can perform as well as super strength. Overall, he's one of the later champs in the game you unlock as well, and even though he's not a big part of the story, he definitely feels right at home in this greedy version of Marvel Universe, where everyone is slowly becoming evil. Not a bad option. Now just one more year later and we get another Venom gaming experience already, this time in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now some of you may be surprised because you've never seen him here. That's because he was not available to everyone and was primarily an exclusive character for Xbox 360 version of the game. We've got multiple costumes, and some of them I may have modded in, I have to admit. Venom himself for a character who was exclusive feels pretty damn good. He is all about some awesome looking crowd control and attaching his tendrils onto many enemies, as well as being able to throw enemies around and lunge at them. One more cool ability is being able to grow spikes on your hands and increasing your base damage. Finally, his ult also does crowd control and covers all of his enemies in his iconic 19 inches of pure venom. I won't lie, I never tried him in this game for some reason, and I was pleasantly surprised at how strong he is on later stages of the game, especially because I never actually leveled him up. He is great, that's a very strong recommendation. Just a couple years later, he of course also appears in a sequel, but for the first time ever, it's not Eddie Brock, and we have Mock Gargan the Scorpion instead. He was Venom at this point in time in comics, and Eddie Brock looks like a sweetheart compared to him, let me tell you. Having been inspired by Ultimate Spider-Man, Venom in here can eat people to recover his health. He also has multiple projectiles including shooting symbiote spikes and his long ass tongue. Finally, he can also lunge at enemies and fly around. Overall, the ability count is significantly reduced, but the character of Venom still feels good, and true to himself. He also fits very well since Venom was a member of Thunderbolts at the time who worked under Tony Stark. Now this game was an official wrap-up for Venom in 2000s. And that was a lot. Let's move into 2010s and see how it goes from here. First up, Avengers Battle for Earth, a Kinect fighting game. Yes, that existed. Venom is playable and you get to extend your real-life arms a lot, and use them as tendrils for their opponents, I guess. You can grab them, perform multiple jumping attacks with your black sludge, and overall, somewhat fun. I played this once and it was somewhat of a novelty for its time, but let's be honest. Do you remember where Kinect is at your home, if you ever owned one? Because I did, and I cannot find it. It's been years. I don't know what to do about it. Same can be said for Superhero Squad Online, a little online beat 'em up for bebes. Venom has been slowly moving towards a younger audience at this time, and it starts around here. Eddie can stun, fly kick, do a little symbiote sludge, AoE, and throw projectiles. Overall, nothing special. And just like that, we already flew towards the middle of 2010s. And as you may know, this was the time all of this mobile slop started coming out, that is still alive today unfortunately. So let's do a quick run through every Venom mobile game. First up, we have Contest of Champions. And to start, we have Classic Venom. I'm not gonna lie, this champion kind of slaps. He's one of those aged like fine wine kinds, where even though he's really old, you can still play and have success with him in current meta. He is all about stacking up very strong bleeds on your opponent, and mainly uses his tentacles for special moves. Developers also kinda cooked with his ult, where he's somewhat of a horror monster who hunts his prey. Pretty cool. The game also has Agent Venom, who is actually a weaker version of the character, and stacks Incinerates instead. Now this is the first appearance of Flash Thompson in our video, so shout out to the developers for that. The game also has Null, who can almost indefinitely stack up symbiote degradation on his enemies, and it's pretty cool. I've also spotted Red Goblin, but he is likely the weakest of them all, except for Agent Venom maybe. Overall, the game has a lot of symbiotes and they kinda cooked with the animations a little. I like it. Moving on to the next mobile game, Marvel Future Fight, and we have mainly uniforms instead of whole new characters, but holy, the developers cooked. These are some of the more creative Venom designs I've seen anywhere pulled from comics, and I kinda love it. Venom himself is a damage machine that continuously buffs and heals himself, and just obliterates everything on the screen. I really like the design, good stuff. We've also of course have Strike Force, and things are pretty similar here. Venom is self-healing and self-buffing champ, who applies a lot of bleeds and spreads negative effects on enemies. His biggest draw is blocking healing on champs he can attack, and that's pretty neat. I don't know if there are any other versions of Venom in this game, but this one's not too bad I suppose. Finally wrapping up the slop, we have Marvel Snap, and I briefly mentioned him before in my Wolverine video because he's very good in decks with Logan. He is a card that eats his own teammates and consumes their power, and cards like Logan and Deadpool will get regenerated immediately, making all three of them very strong. This is my favorite deck style in this game, and I once again have to give devs some props. It's great. Alright, we're done with Mobile Slop, and I kinda loved it this time, I can't lie. We're in mid-2000s now, and Venom started appearing in a lot more kid-friendly games. First up, Disney Infinity. Eddie is heavy, he crashes the ground with his weight, and mainly uses his tentacles with some long-range strong attacks. It really feels like they copied the moveset from the Ultimate Spider-Man, but it feels more stiff, a bit less fun. Overall, meh, I didn't like it. We've also got both LEGO games, of course, coming out around the same time, and the design in here is much cooler in my opinion. Venom starts off as a regular character, who is all squishy and yucky and he can turn into sludge to go into vents, but he can also literally rip himself apart and turn into this Hulk-sized version of himself that can now move large obstacles and overall just uses Hulk's moveset. But that is damn creative, I'll give them that. I really like this design, and I would not expect them to cook so hard in a LEGO game ever. He's a very versatile character. The same design was used in a sequel with a slightly updated character model and colors. Finally, if you thought Marvel Heroes Omega would be skipped, nope, this game is here once again. Venom in here is sort of a mix between MUA and mobile games. He's very good with AoE, crowd control, and sucking up enemies with tendrils, while at the same time, he powers up and heals himself while doing that. There's nothing particularly special I noticed about him, but he's one of the standouts on the battlefield with his infinite goo. Having Carnage as your partner is pretty unique too. And yes, the game was shut down, but you can still play it on fan service for free, with all content already available as far as I believe. Strong recommendation for dungeon crawler fans. And now we're almost done with 2010s, believe it or not. Just 2 games to go. First up, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. For some reason Venom skipped the third entry, but went straight here. His design is actually unique in this game because surprisingly, he is able to lay traps on the battlefield, which you can then get your opponents into and begin the combo from there. He has a very flashy ult and level 3s that are easy to end a combo with, and overall, he's a pretty solid champ. I personally prefer the third Ultimate game, but the addition of Venom here is notable. Last game to wrap up 2000s was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and I like Venom the least in here out of all Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. He's super slow, all of his attacks are 1 or 2 shots that take time to activate, and the variety is just kinda boring. Like yeah, you can extend sharp tentacles out of your body and lunge with a big symbiote sludge, but it's something we've seen multiple times at this point, and the skill variety lacks, while the speed is slow. So he is not for me in this game, and I quite honestly never kept him in my roster. But the game is still very good, don't get me wrong. If you have a Switch, this is a strong recommendation regardless. Alright. We're finally in the modern age of games with Venom. This will be more fun from here. First up, Midnight Suns. A very underrated game I have to be a bit more in depth with. Venom has this whole mechanic of basically one-shotting enemies. He uses his power cards to gain Ravenous, It's a skill that boosts his damage, and then he's able to just go and destroy an enemy unit immediately, especially if they have max health right now. He also has multiple crowd control skills as well as an AoE skill similar to what we saw in previous games, but much cooler style-wise. I gotta mention that the character is DLC, but he comes with a whole additional chapter for you to play through as Eddie, where you fight through hordes of vampires and face the freaking Mephisto, slowly transitioning from a villain who wants to end Spider-Man into a lethal protector, somewhat of a friend to him. Overall, this is a reverse from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, where yes, some of these skills we saw before, Venom is not doing anything new really, but they're all different, they look cooler, they're flashier, Venom has his whole mechanic of being ravenous and stuff, and quite honestly, keeping Venom on your team here feels freaking badass. So yeah, this is my another strong recommendation. Next up, just a year later, we make our return to AAA open world with Spider-Man 2. Venom has a short but very memorable and sweet fragment as you get to hold the raw power of the symbiote and absolutely destroy all enemies on your way. And even though there are like 2 combos and 2 special moves only that all rely on ground slam and tentacles, the variety is very small, yeah, it still feels damn powerful to play as him, and the intensity is here. There's also a bug and a mod to bring him into an open world and have just a little more fun as him, but sadly, there isn't that much. Now we're just waiting for a potential Venom game now, I suppose. It's also not Eddie Brock, it's Harry Osborn. This was a very sweet fragment, but it's not enough for me to recommend this as a Venom game, unfortunately. But Spider-Man game? Absolutely. Another year passes by, and we get the game you all know, of course. Marvel Rivals. Venom is quite honestly my favorite Vanguard in here. He's a dive style tank who is extreme pain for all healers, and if you're standing in the back line, you will feel a lot of pain when playing against him, as he can immediately gain half his health back as a bar of shield. He also, of course, in his classic fashion, can attach his tentacles onto you. And finally, his ult also takes away half of your health bar, no matter what kind of character you're playing as, and take it as a shield for himself. It also applies anti-heal after the latest update, I believe. Extremely fun champ that can be very annoying to play against. This is a Flash Thompson skin I'm wearing, by the way, when he went to space and was with Guardians for a while, but the main character in the game is still Eddie Brock. Very good and my strong recommendation if you like to play PvP. And that's kind of it. Now he is coming to another game this December called Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which will be an old school style beat 'em up game. Not sure if I'm gonna get it though. I've just played through like 10 beat 'em ups in the past month. Quite honestly, I'm really sick of them. This game also looks less fun than a Punisher beat 'em up from the 90s, but I might get it if they do a smart thing and add Daredevil in there, so we'll see about that. Let's go over the final games I can actually recommend. First up, the absolute best game would be the Ultimate Spider-Man. Venom is the second protagonist and plays a big role. This is still the best Venom game ever released in my opinion, and if you never touched it, touch it. Next up, MUA series is somewhat of a maybe. The game has a lot of characters already that I recommend, and always keeping Venom on the team may be unwise, but if you want to, out of 3, the first one is where Venom felt the most fun to me. Marvel Rivals is a great PvP experience where a decent Venom is quite honestly always useful, and if you want yourself a great story experience without the sweats, Midnight Suns is your choice, and it's an amazing choice at that. And you know, I'll throw Lego Marvel superheroes for the fun of it. Their creativity is very notable, and it actually made me want to go back and play Lego games for the first time in years. Pretty surprising. Now, if you like this video and this type of content in general, feel free to subscribe and like. It'd be so cool to reach 6,000 subscribers soon, like dare I even say you'd be kind of a badass for doing that. In the meantime, I'll continue covering other characters, and might even start with some DC standouts. I still have Blade and Deadpool on my list, but after that, it's free game, so you tell me in the comments what you want the most and I'll listen. This video was a recommendation from multiple users from there, so your comment could be next. See you next time. Bye bye.